Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're going to make a baked cracked chicken with diced bacon and ranch seasoning with cream cheese. So what we're going to do first is, well, I've already cooked the bacon, so it's just, I need to save the bacon grease for the chicken. And then what I need to do is pound out the chicken. And the best way to do that is put it between layers of saran wrap. So I just put down saran wrap and folded some over the chicken, and you use the flat side so you don't put holes in it, but then you just use the saran wrap and it keeps the splatter from going everywhere. And you want to do it to about a 1/4 inch thickness. I've already done these, so what I'm going to do now is transfer it over to the skillet, and we're going to cook it in the bacon grease along with a tablespoon of oil. Then we're going to flip it over, and then I'm going to add some butter to it and then cook it until it's done. And then I will put it in the baking dish and come back, and I will put the seasonings together and show you how to make ranch powder yourself instead of having to buy it in the store. And then we will go from there. So I will be right back. Alright, so you see the chicken, like, doesn't help. Alright, so cook it on one side. I added salt and pepper to give a little flavor. I'm just going to flip it all over. Then I'm going to add some butter to the skillet, 1 tablespoon of butter. Just let it cook down, and then we will add some garlic powder and some sweet paprika. So we have a teaspoon of garlic powder that we're going to sprinkle on. And a teaspoon of paprika. And we're going to bake this when it's all compiled at 400 degrees. So for 15 minutes. Alright, so starting to look yummy. Alright, so I have 4 ounces of softened cream cheese, and what you can add is a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of dried dill weed, and a 1/4 teaspoon of dried chives. But what I do is I make my own ranch mix, and I just keep it on the shelf. I keep one of the silica packets, like that comes in your packages, because you're not supposed to eat it. But when you buy seasonings that are in the packets, like the ranch and the taco seasoning and stuff like that, if you read the ingredients, it has silica as an ingredient to keep it from caking together. So what I do is I just keep the silica from packets that, like shoe packets or whatever, or other things that need to remain dry, like in purses and stuff, and then I just keep it in the jar to help keep moisture out, and it stays loose. I've had this probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. So anyway, so I combine all of those together, and then I usually tape the recipe to the outside so I know how much to add each time, but I didn't do that with this because I make it so often that I just have it memorized. So anyway, so instead of a 1/4 teaspoon of everything, I shake this up really well, and then I just add 1 teaspoon of my ranch powder. And then I just mix it up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to layer it, we're going to spread this over the chicken breast, and then we're going to add, if you remember the other day, I made homemade Rotel. So what I did was I drained it really well so that it doesn't cause a lot of moisture in the chicken or in the cream cheese, so that it stays on like it's supposed to. And then we're going to spread bacon on top, and then we're going to add cheddar cheese on top of that. So let's go ahead and do that. One of these. So you're just going to spread it over the top of the chicken. And this is a new recipe, but I think it would be really good for like Valentine's Day. Like the Cornish game hen would be good for Valentine's Day because it's fairly simple. But if you don't want to go out and spend a lot of money, you can just have a nice gourmet meal at home that doesn't take but 20-30 minutes. So instead of going to a restaurant, I know it's nice, but you know, with COVID and we're supposed to get snow, or you know, you have the weather to contend with, you have crowds on Valentine's Day for dinner, so you know, maybe go out a different day for a special evening. But I think it would just be fun to have a nice candlelit dinner at home. And for us, Tom's birthday is the day before Valentine's Day, so we kind of celebrate those together. Alright, so I think that's it for the chicken, or the cream cheese. And then, so I'm going to just spread the drained Rotel on top, just to give it a little kick and a little flavor. Not that it wouldn't taste good, but I just, like I said the other day, we like spicy, a little bit spicy, give it some flavor. And then we are going to add the crumbled bacon. Look at all that. So we're only going to add half the bacon because so this was 6 slices of classic sliced bacon. You could do 4 slices of thick sliced bacon, but classic is what we had on hand. So I'm just going to use half of it on here because whenever it's done, we're going to garnish with this and some other items after I pull it out of the oven. So then I'm going to grab the cheese out of the refrigerator. And wash my hands. I cut my finger, my other finger, so I'm doing this one-handed tonight. These new knives are gonna get me. Yeah, I was washing it and sliced my hand. And it's just a little nick, nothing major, but still, it's just annoying. So just sprinkle some the cheese on top, however much you prefer. I use shredded for this because we're going to make an orzo spinach dessert with, not dessert, side. We're going to make a spinach orzo side dish that has mozzarella cheese. So it's going to be a cheesy kind of night. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to bake this in the oven, 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And while that's cooking, or as soon as I put that in the oven, I will show you how to get the orzo together. Alright, so I went ahead and cooked the orzo before, but I found this really super easy way to strain the orzo. You know how typically you put your strainer in the sink and you pour it in and then all the water backs back up over it and then all the dirty from the sink. So a more sanitary way to do it is you take your strainer and you put it inside the pot, and then you turn the pot upside down, and then it all comes out and it's strained, and you don't have a big old mess. Sometimes it goes over the top, and then remember the other day I was talking about my dish rack here, so it holds hot pans. So I'm just going to set that there for now, and then I'm going to get set up to get everything put together for the Creamy Mozzarella Spinach Orzo. Alright, so what we're going to do now is add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the pan. And then we will add 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to turn this down. So like I said the other day, I prefer to use whole garlic cloves, but if you're only using, if you have minced garlic in the jar, just use like 2.5 teaspoons of it. So, it's going to burn. I didn't turn it down in time. I'm going to take it off the stove for a minute. There we go. Alrighty, so fortunately it didn't burn, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to add salt and pepper to taste. I like to use the whole peppercorns when I'm cooking, and then just use the pepper flakes when I'm at my table. So, and then we're just going to add a smidgen of salt, a couple little pinches, and so then we're going to stir that around. We're going to add, so we're going to make like a crema thing. So we're adding 2 teaspoons of flour. And stir that around to make it like a roux. And then we're going to add 1 cup of milk. And get all the milk out of there so you have enough. I actually used heavy whipping cream because I prefer it's a more creamier when you're trying to make a cream sauce. So it only makes sense to me. Alright. And then you just stir it around until all the lumps are gone. I use a holy spoon spatula instead of a whisk, because sometimes it's faster, less dirty dishes since I've already used it for something else. It was already out, and just make sure you get everything off the bottom. Let's see. And then we're supposed to let it cook for 8 minutes, so I'm going to turn it way down, let it simmer, and then I will come back and we will add timer. Alright, so what I do is, so you can use fresh spinach, but what I did was I used frozen spinach and I thawed it out and then I squeezed it dry so it doesn't bring extra moisture to the sauce so that it stays creamy. And if you use fresh spinach, just use a whole bag. Make sure you rinse it or wash it and spin it dry so that all the moisture's out. Maybe even squeeze it dry so that it doesn't water down your sauce. Alright, so I will get back with you as soon as this is ready. Now we're going to add the spinach that I was talking about earlier. When you use fresh spinach, make sure you cook it first and then add it in so it'll look the same, but we're just going to crumble it up as we go so we don't have big chunks of it. And then we're going to add half cup of mozzarella cheese and stir it all together, and then toss in the orzo, and then it will be ready and the chicken will be ready at the same time. The chicken had to cook for 20 minutes and the orzo took 20 minutes to prepare. And what I'm doing here with my the skillet that I cooked the chicken in, the easiest way to clean a stainless steel skillet is to boil it and get the crumbles off, the stuff that was cooked on, the hardened stuff, it'll just come right out whenever you start to clean it. And what I do if there's grease involved is I run super hot water, pour some Dawn down the garbage disposal, turn it on so it suds up, and then that way the Dawn absorbs the grease. But there was hardly any in this, so I'm not even worried about it. Alright, we're going to add the orzo now. So once I dumped the orzo, once I drained it, I just flipped it over and then dumped the orzo into here so that I could reuse the pot instead of dirtying another one. The fewer the dishes and dirty pots and pans, the easier it is for me. And we're going to add the cheese. Alright, and then mix it all together, let it set a few minutes. If you want, you could add some lemon juice or some additional black pepper or anything you want that would make it better. I also think this would taste real good with like grilled chicken inside of it, like a one-pot meal. Alright. Just get it all mixed around. I'm turning this off since everything's going to be ready. Turn you off because you're boiling. Alright. Here is our orzo. Orzo spinach mozzarella or creamy mozzarella spinach orzo. That sounds better, right? Alright. So I'm going to take it off the heat, and then I'm going to take the chicken out of the oven. Look at that. Oh, that sounds yummy too, huh? Cancel. And then we're going to add the rest of the bacon on top. So we've added the rest of the bacon on top. We're going to add some parsley. And then remember the other day I was showing you how to make scallions. I cut these, but look at that. Look how far they've grown since Saturday or Friday whenever I did that. Can you see? So anyway, so that's how you keep growing the scallions. But what I did was I went ahead and thawed some out that I had frozen the other day, and you're just gonna sprinkle it over the top. And there we have our cheesy, creamy, cracked chicken with bacon ranch seasoning. Looks delicious, doesn't it? Alright, so what I'm going to do with, in addition to, is we're going to have the deviled eggs that I made yesterday and the biscuits, the keto cheesy biscuits as a side, and then we have a full dinner. So, alright, well, thanks for joining, and I hope you learned a lot. So just remember to like it, and subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy dinner.